That back there is not real.
There was a group of reptilians there, and they stood around me in a circle.
Tradition tells us that the army of the Messiah is not to come from heaven, but is to rise from the inner
Truth seekers. All right. We got a great show for you here tonight, and we're going to twist some minds tonight. We're going to, probably disturb some people's religious doctrine a little bit, because I got some information that I think we're going to dig deep into about these archons. And did they manipulate the God story that we know today, and the reason why? Because this is something I've been looking into for quite some time. And as you know, I study a lot about those shapeshifters and, a lot of reptilian stuff and everything else. And so actually I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to shapeshifters and all that. If you've ever been there, here's a copy of my personal YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to it. And, right there, it's Roderick Martin, shapeshifters and blah, blah, blah. So we talk a lot about these archons and everything that they do. So, but either way, we're going to get deep into this tonight, and we're going to go over some biblical stuff, some things that they probably did, and some parts of the story that they, I say, twisted, and the way that we look at things today. And so again, it's a great thing, and you're going to be able to share this content, right? You're going to be able to share it and everything else. But I think to set this in motion, the first thing we need to do is explain a little bit about what is an archon, right? What is it? And when we tied into these pesky stories of what we talk about, the reptilian stuff. Okay, so my notes right here is going to go into the Greek word archon, okay, which is the origins, beginning, things prior in time is the meaning. Now, in here, it says, in the classic Mediterranean world, archon was commonly used for the governor of province, or more loosely, any religious or governmental authority. Now, hence the plural archons with an S is often translated in the Gnostic text as the authorities. Now, there's no, well, let me go back here. So it's kind of pronounced archon. It's an adjective, all right? And so, and there's three levels to this. And so let me kind of give you, in my parts of this, in attempting what I call the impossible, is I'm going to go a deep rabbit hole tonight. I just want you to know it's going to be really deep. I propose that there's three definitions of three levels that we want to look into. Level one, as we get ready to get into this story, is the cosmological level. Okay, this is in Gnostic cosmology, and I have my little notes here. The archons are a species, so start that out right now, inorganic beings that emerged in the solar system prior to formation of Earth. All right, so that right there, before I even go deeper, I want you to keep that right over here in your mind, that little piece apart of them coming before even the formation of Earth or being around. Now, they are cyborgs, Borgs or whatever, inhabiting a planetary system exclusive of Earth, Sun, and the Moon, which is described as a virtual world. They constructed by imitating the geometry forms and emanated from Plemora or something like that, which is the realm of the generators, which is considered the cosmic gods. All right, so as we go deeper, the archons are genuine species with their own proper habit and may be considered to be godlike, okay? But they lack the intentionality, which is what we have, in which what a lot of species envy the humans, which is self-directive, directive capacity and all those things. And they have a nasty tendency to stray from the boundaries and intrude on a human realm. So we want you to know that. So we're talking about level one, cosmological, and we can also go into the Gaia mythos, which describes how the archons were produced by a fractal impact in a dense elementary rays. Okay, so now level two is Noic psychology or psychological when you get down. And then in the Gnostic psychology, the Noahic signs of the mystery schools, archons, or alien forces that intrude subliminally upon the human mind, all right, and deviates our intelligence away from proper and sane applications. Now, they're not what makes us inhuman. Okay, I want you to know that, but we all have the potential to go against our innate humanity. So we can do that. We can violate the truths in our heart, but that makes us not human, inhumane or nothing like that. But also, left to our own devices, we sometimes act inhumanly. Now, here's a good part of this. Hence, archons, the psycho-spiritual parasites, they are the offsprings of the Aeon, A-E-O-N, Sophia, if you've heard of that name before. And they are our cosmic kin. Now, an Aeon or Eon, which is A-E-O-N, is supposed to be in Greek, the examination of divine power, cosmic time cycle, and all this. And so I'm going to cut through that a little bit so we can get into our story, and then we can go into the third part. But the third part is the sociological side, and this is where the human society, archons are the alien forces that act to authoritarian systems, including our belief systems, in ways to cause humans to turn against each other, right? And so when you think about the word live, L-I-V-E, is really spelled backwards with the word evil. And I do a lot of studying, which is, this is a great book that you all ought to get. It's called Word Magic. So that's something that you really need to pay attention to. All right. But anyway, but the archons are not evil in the sense that they possess autonomous powers of destruction, but they're able to apply directly upon humanity. All right. So now here's where the human connection comes into this, because the agents or the era are the humans. And this is where, even when I'm wearing my shirt, you can't really see it anyway, but I'm wearing my shirt and it just kind of puts all these levels together. All right. So to start off that saying, there is a fear of older than humanity itself that's been around for quite some time. It's the cold-blooded dread that slithers at the base of our spine. Now, the fear of the serpent, the gaze of what I consider the reptile. Now, you've seen the eyes staring back at you from the abyss on one of your sacred texts when you look around. Now, you were taught that it was a sort of adversary, the tempter in the garden, the dragon of the apocalypse, right? But what if that was the first and the most profound lie that we have already heard? Now, what if the God you were taught to worship, the jealous, the wrathful lawgiver who demanded blood, sacrifice, and absolute obedience, was simply the beast wearing the mask of the creator? We could probably stop now. We could probably say, okay, you know what? This is going to be one of those things tonight. And absolutely, it is, because the question is, what if the ancient reptilian intelligence, the ancient Gnostics called them archons, right, conquered our planet, not with starships, but with scripture, and not with weapons, but with worship? You remember Billy talks about it too. If you watch a lot of his videos of us having this worship gene that was placed in, right? And so that can take us down that rabbit hole by itself. But anyway, they are the cosmic parasites, the hidden rulers who author what I call the dogmas that's out there that set the brother against brother, nation against nations. And then they're also the architects of the division. I'm talking feeding off our negative energy generated by the religions that they design to control us, right? We already know that. And we're talking about loosh, that's another word that they feed off from. They turn our search for divine into a blueprint for our own enslavement, if you really want to get that deep with it. But listen, this is not another story about aliens from a distant star. I just want you to know that. This is a story of the aliens within. And tonight, we don't just question your fate tonight. We're going to expose the puppet masters who engineered it. And I want you to stay with us, because you're going to learn to see the signature, okay, by the time I'm finished tonight. And not just in ancient carvings or forbidden gospels, but in the systems of the power that governs your life. We're talking about in the media that shape your thoughts, and also the voice in your head the voice of fear that also is in your head, I should say, that we all look and see. And so anyway, by the end of this journey, you will not understand only what we're going to be talking about this religion, but you're going to also get kind of a better understanding of the nature of the cage, is what I call it. But you will be handled, well, how should I put it? You're going to learn how to not just handle, but you're going to be handed the key to unlock it. How about that? Let me just kind of rephrase that. As you know, I got a grammar box up here to the left, so make sure you know it has unlimited corrections of grammar if you hear me mispronounce stuff, but your conscious mind can interpret it and know what I said. There's no need to type it in the chat and say, oh, this is the correct spelling, because that's an ego thing, right? But if you can understand it, the ebonics or whatever it is that comes out, then you're good to go. But if I misspell anything, I got an unlimited letter box over here to this side. Get as many letters out as necessary to complete the right spelling. Now, our story begins in 1945. This is back in December, okay? And as the world was emerging from the ashes of what I consider a global war, there was a local farmer digging for fertilizer near a place called Nag Hammadi. This is way back in Egypt, right? And supposedly the story goes that he unearthed a seal, kind of like a clay jar, okay? And unbehold, there was something inside this jar. Inside it was 13 leather-bound codices, is what they said. It was like a papyrus text that had been hidden for like over 1,600 years, okay, when they said this. Now, the official story of this tells us that these are Gnostic Gospels, a collection of heretical writings and suppressed by, I would say, the nascent Orthodox Church back in the 4th century, if you go back that far. But they was also deemed a threat, period, a divergent path of Christian mysticism that had been erased from history. And for decades, this is where the mainstream inquiry ended everything. So it gets deep, all right? And we're going to get really deep from here. All right, so now, but this was no mere heresy when you start thinking about it. It was a counter narrative of what I consider cosmic proportions. It was a warning. Now, these forbidden texts do not speak of sin and salvation in the familiar terms, but instead they describe a universe occupied, listen to me, by a force that actually worked against humanity. Now, they tell us of the schisms in the divine and the error in the fabric of creation that gave rise to fraudulent God. But this entity, the Gnostics called him Yaldabaoth, okay? Now, this is Yadabaoth, if I pronounced it right, or Demerge, you're right, which was the ultimate creator, but a blind, arrogant, and imperfect being who mistakenly believed he was the one true God. Now, in the ancient text, the imposter deity echoed this tyrannical voice of this Old Testament declaring, and it kind of went like, it was like, it is I am God, right? And there is no other power apart from me. So that's how it went. Now, it also said, and this false God was not alone, right? He fashioned a host of servants, the Archons. Now, this is where we bring them in, which is a Greek term for rulers, authorities, when you really go look it up. So you can go look it up. But the Gnostic seers describe them as a species of inorganic, parasitic beings that emerged in our solar system before the Earth was even formed. Now, I want you to stick with that for a minute, because there are a couple of scriptures that I'm going to get to. One in particular that's in the King James, and then I'm going to talk about one that was omitted, right? And this one is pretty profound because it tells us one of the things that I talk about all the time on my channel about the disclosure, reptilians, aliens, and all this stuff, that there's some reason that they don't want us to know about what's happening up in those spaces and skies. And they have probably put out so many stories of different stories about, what's coming on. But if you go back to the original text of the Bible, which I'll get to that, I'm getting to my notes now, which will then explain that they already knew that there was something coming from above, and they was trying not just to warn us about it, but well, yeah, they was trying to warn us about it. So I'm gonna put that over to the side. Make sure somebody remind me in the chat a little later to bring up the scripture, okay? Because it's gonna be really important to do. All right. So anyway, they was a parasitic beings, okay? And of course, like I said, they emerged at a time when people say the earth was formed. Now, we're talking about lacking the divine spark of creativity. They lack true intention. And what the Gnostics at that time called Enoia, Ennoia. Now, they are driven by a profound envy of humanity. So there's a lot of species that come here that just don't like us, right? They just don't. Now, the Gnostics' description of these entities are called really, I can't really say what they're called, but they are specifically what I call unsettlingly familiar. See, they identified these two primary types. One is an embryonic or embryonic being, like a fetal being, so to speak, which is kind of looks like the grays, like this one that you can't see it, but it's right behind my shoulder right there, like that gray alien. And then the other is a leader who is fiercely aggressive, draconic, or reptilian type. People, I probably have every book that David Icke has written. I haven't read them all, but I have. And there's a lot of stuff in there that talks about, these reptilian agenda and holographic stuff. Also, I have 4 series books of the Reptilian Bible. It has everything in there that ties into it. And then I have a set of books that you can't hardly find that talks about reptilians in the humanity. And I probably paid a few $100 for this set. You can't even find it. It's not even bookstore. And it's 1,600 pages. It is ridiculously full of information. And then I have 5, 6 other books, and so I've dug a lot into this, is what I'm saying. Then you're talking about Dragon. This one is really good. Jordan Maxwell, really good. And it's just starting to come that there are some stories behind this that I think we need to probably pay attention. But I'm going to dig into it tonight. I'm going to go deeper into this tonight. Now, because these ancient texts were not mythological fantasies. They were, the Gnostics claim, a diagnostic manual for the human soul, which was a guide to identifying the signature of any alien mind, the fabric of our most sacred beliefs. Now, a mind whose primary weapons are not to steal, but of deception, assimilation, and fear. This is where it gets pretty interesting, because see, the foundational story of this began way back in the West. It begins with a tree. And we all know this, right? We're talking temptation, a serpent, right? And the narrative said the serpent is the embodiment of evil, the tempter who introduced sin and death into a perfect world. It was a crime, but it offering knowledge, though. Now, but if I could never reconcile this, why would the ultimate sin be the desire to know? This is my personal questions with that, right? Why would the creator of all existence build a paradise on the foundation of blissful ignorance? That's another question. And the story positions the serpent as the villain, but it promised was one of the hypotheses, right? It was like, your eyes shall be open. And I do it all the time because I tell y'all, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind, right? But the way this thing went is your eyes shall be open and you shall be gods, knowing good and evil. Now, was this temptation or was this an invitation to evolve? Think about that for a minute. Let that sit there for a minute before we continue, because I have a huge announcement that I need to really quickly make. It'll take about a minute here. I'll show you. And I just need all your support. Anybody who is supporting what I do and enjoy, you will support this new thing that I have going on here. And I'm just going to play it real quick, just real quick. And it's a new channel that I just started. And it's really simple. I put up these 3-minute videos about symbolism, but really tied into real life, stuff that we talk about in real life. So let me just give you a clip of it, and then we're going to continue because we got a long show tonight. We're going to be here a long time, and we're going to go really deep. I'm talking a couple of hours at least because I got a lot of stuff to go through. You may not believe it, but this is not a pond. A simple body of water, maybe a home for ducks. It's an eye. See, it's an eye that is staring. Look at this. You may not believe it, but this is not a tree. It looks like one. The wood, the bark, we're talking about the leaves. It's a silent giant. It's a monument built on light and time. You may not believe it, but this is not a yellow flower. It looks like one. A simple splash of color, a common weed, but it's a declaration of war against the gray. Society sees a simple, cheerful thing. Pretty, but ultimately trivial. But its true nature is rebellion. You may not believe it, but this is not a park bench. It looks like one. Metal, iron, a simple place to rest. It's a theater box, and the performance is life itself. I enjoy making This Is Not a Thing videos. I want to, give the audience a different perspective on symbolism. That everything from the trees to the ducks, the water, the leaves, everything has a symbolic meaning. You will share these videos with people. Enjoy them for yourself. Like the channel and subscribe. This Is Not a Thing, brought to you by Roderick Martin, AKA the Symbolizer. Enjoy. All right, so that is my Mona Lisa, I call it. I have over 400 ideas. This is not a pen, this is not a book, this is not a mirror, and I'm gonna blow your mind with a new perspective. These videos ain't but 3 minutes, maybe tops. And I need to get at least 1,000 subscribers. So I just put it up yesterday. So if you can find it in yourself, and there is a description in a link in the description here. If you can find it within yourself to support that, I will mostly appreciate you doing that. And I've just been so excited. Like I said, I have over 400 ideas. I'm gonna post 3 or 4 videos a week, and you're gonna really enjoy it. You really are gonna learn a lot too. It's gonna change everything in the life that is so crazy right now and what we do. All right. So with that being said, let's get back into the story. Okay. And the Gnostics saw this not as a fall when all this came about, but as the first action of spiritual liberation. They claimed the serpent was not an agent of distant evil, but an emissary of true divine feminine, Sophia. Okay, wisdom herself. Now, I started running across a lot of stories about the Sophia stuff, right? It was a lot of time. And his goal was to awaken humanity, supposedly, to free Adam and Eve from the ignorance of paradise of their keeper, the Demuge. Now, in this forbidden Gnosis, it said that the so-called tempter became a liberator and venerated God and of the garden and is revealed as the warden. So God was the warden. So it kind of goes back to what we was talking about. Now, the Gnostics rereading forces used to re-examine the character of the biblical God himself, right? He is, by his own admission, a jealous God. He is prone to genocidal rage. He demands absolute obedience and punishes the pursuit of unsanctioned knowledge with death. Should I stop or should I continue? Am I making any headway for you all? Let me look in the chat. Should I continue? Let me know. Should I continue? But I'm going to do it anyway. But just let me know. Let me know. Now, these are not the traits of the ultimate benevolent creator. They are the precise characteristics of the Gnostics assigned to Lord Archon, Ababa, or Adaba, the arrogant beast, the blind ruler who ignorantly proclaims himself the only God. Okay? And somebody said, keep going. Right. I know, right? So the sacred text, when you read without the lens of conditioned faith, becomes a perfect profile for archonic entity, right? When you start thinking about it. Now, here's, how should I say? And this is where the cosmic conspiracy becomes personal, almost in a terrifying way if you begin to look at it. See, I began to see the pattern everywhere. This figure, this divine tyrant, it wasn't just an ancient text that it was in. Carl Jung called it the shadow. And I do a lot of information. I got a lot of stuff on the shadows. In fact, I'm working on something so beautiful that you're going to be able to identify the shadow and archetype in just about everything, all of the conspiracies, the whatever. So look for that to come. But Carl Jung called it the shadow, the repressed unconscious, right? And often the monstrous part of our own personality. Now, he said the archon, which I realized, is not merely an alien from the stars. It is the perfect personification of humanity's collective, the unknowledged shadow. So when we start thinking about it. Now, Jordan Maxwell talks about it, and I've said it before, where he says they got us looking in the wrong direction, and and it just, because once you start thinking about it, right? And we won't get off detour here, but from this perspective, the great religions become a form of mass psychological projection. They command us to project our own darkness onto a singular figure of evil, the devil, the serpent, while simultaneously worshiping an authoritarian God figure who embodies the very same archonic traits: control, judgment, and rage. Now, this dynamic, this thing keeps humanity in a state of perpetual psychic conflict and forever battling an internalized shadow while submitting to tyrannical inner one and never achieving wholeness that Carl Jung called individuation. Now, you got to remember that we're not talking about us in the conscious community who are seeking spirituality. We're talking about religion. So I just want you to know this, and how the device may have been created and why and by whom, right? By whom? And so we separating. So let us not get to a point where we're in the wrong direction with this, okay? So you get what I'm saying. All right. So we are live, and you can't handle the truth. Says great topic. Appreciate it, brother. All right. So, but what is the purpose of the psychic prison? And remember, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You can't get no better than that, right? The Gnostic text, the modern experiential account, suggests a horrifying answer to this. Now, the Archons describes as parasites, right? That feed on intense negative human emotions, right? Now, in the Gnostic view, if you go back there, many of the most profound religious events are not even what they seem. There are holographic inserts, psychic drama staged to provoke a planet-wide emotional response. And we're seeing that now. We can talk about the crucifixion, the ultimate story of divine suffering, betrayal, and sacrifice becomes, in this light, the ultimate harvest. A psychic feeding ground designed to generate a torrent of anguish, guilt, adoration, and providing the archons with the very energy that they need to sustain their control. The loosh. It's like we were set up. Now, our salvation story may, in fact, be a little sustenance. And so we're going to get into that. All right. And we're going to do that. So yeah, loose energy, right? So where I'm going with this, of course, the story cannot be a simple one of good versus evil. It's not going to go that simple. The true depth lies in the paradoxes. And I'm glad you asked, because here is the section that I want to introduce the critical turn, complicating what I call the narrative and deepening the mystery for you. Yeah, I'm a storyteller. So you got to subscribe to my new channel, all right? The Owl Sees, or This is not a thing. You have to, because I'm a storyteller at heart, okay? All right, so you should know that by now if you watch me. But for the time right now, the picture seems a little terrifying clear. So let me paint it. Humanity was the victim. So I want you to go back there. The Archons was the predator, right? It was a simple, horrifying story of cosmic invasion. They came, and believe it or not, they came from the space people. They came from up here. And when you think about this cosmic invasion of what I call a shepherdless flock, preyed upon by celestial wolves, because they said these people don't have no leader. They don't have no leader. It's kind of like a story. You know, I'm a storyteller, so I'll tell you real quickly. It's like two shoe salesmen, one here and one there. They're both on the same boat. And they go to this island of natives, and they're on a boat. And they look out and see the natives. And one shoe salesman, he calls back home, hey, boss. Hey, man, don't worry about sending no shoes here because ain't nobody wearing any. Now, the other one see the same thing, and he said, hey, boss, send every damn thing we got. Ain't nobody wearing no shoes. So they saw that we didn't have no leaders. And every time something came from the sky, we called it a god. You got to know that, right? So they were like, who wouldn't have sucked up on that? Who would have been like, yeah, okay, I'll be your god. And then that's why we have so many gods, right? When we think about that. Okay, I know that was a little detour, but you get where I'm going, right? So it was a clean narrative. It gave us an enemy of hate and evil to fight, right? It was perfect, right? But the Gnostics, in their deepest and most difficult teachings, they left a breadcrumb trail to a more disturbing truth. We're talking about a truth that collapses the comfortable distance between the victim and the villain. And as you should know by now, every story is told from 3 points of views: the victim, the villain, and the participant. And most oftentimes, no matter who you're talking to, they are never going to tell you they was a participant. They're either going to tell you who was the villain and they were the victim, but they're not going to say, well, you know, I participated. But anyway, so nobody's going to tell that part of the story tonight either. So we got the victim and the villain. But in the Gnostic creation story, the Archons was not a primordial independent evil. They were an accident. They arose as a spontaneous phantom-like species with divine Eon Sophia. Remember the name. I'm taking it back down. Remember I told you put it up here at the beginning of the show. Now, in the passionate and unilateral act of creation, which they would plunge to what we call a galactic core. So the text described them as aborted fetus, a premature, malformed consequence of divine beings that fell into chaos. They were not created by the ultimate Godhead, nor were they forged in some hellish abyss. They were born from the shadow of our own cosmic mother, is what they say. All right, so we're there. We are there. All right, so let me continue. So the first apocalypse of the James contained the most unsettling part of the code, okay? And I'm going to get into that. And when the initiate is taught how to confront these entities, he is instructed to say something to the effect of, they're not from the falling, or no, well, they're instructed to kind of say, they're not entirely alien, is what I meant to say. For they are from falling Sophia. So they are not entirely alien, but there are kin, right? Our kin. How could that be? How could this be? How could this cold reptilian intelligence, this parasite from the forms of our fear, be related to us? The answer lies not in what they are, but in what they lack. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, we got a long way to go. So if you're enjoying this right now, give me a little check mark or something in the chat. I need a, brush the, just to, what I'm saying, just you go, boy. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm a grown man. We know that, but you go. You know what I'm saying? And if you enjoying this or learning or just entertain, period, because I call it infotainment is what I'm doing. Okay, so the texts say that the Archons are driven by one all-consuming emotion. All right, Sasha said, yes, sir. All right, we got some more. Let's go. All right, cool. Glad I see it there. All right, Poliet and Misty. All right, cool. All right, so as I was saying, Someone said, cooking like a chef, Ramsey. All right, we're good. All right, so the archons are driven by one all-consuming emotion, envy. This is the whole point. They envy us for one thing that they were never given, and the divine spark of intentionality, the creative fire of the Enoia, Enoia. Now, they are the masters of the grand evil plan, okay? They are stunted. They're like robotic beings trapped in a loop of imitation and rage. They don't just want to feed on us. They want to become us. Their work of deception, of twisting our religion and mirroring our behaviors is a desperate pathological attempt to possess the one thing they can't not, or they can only simulate which is a soul. That's why everybody's after our souls. They always after our souls. Now, this is no longer the story of an invasion. I want you to know it's a cosmic family tragedy. The Archons is not outside the enemy to be vanquished. It's a failed reflection, a shadow brother twisted by jealousy. And in this light, their role is in our world becomes agonizingly clear, people. And let me say that because as Gnostic and modern seers like Carlos Castaneda, if you remember that, intuited, the Archons are not just Prestilius, he says. He says they are the means by which the universe tests us. They are the ultimate resistance, the cosmic friction against our own conscious, which really must be forged, right? They are the darkness that forces us to the divine or to define our own light, if you're really going to look into it. How about that? And the enemy was no longer a reptilian monster in the sky. It was a potentially within the cosmos and therefore potentially within ourselves. Now, I'm going to read the scripture here, and I want you to look it up yourself. Now, this was translated from the forms of the Bible, including notably the King James Version, presumably directed, this were reported manipulative entities that they put this in here include, because you got to think about it, the Bible itself, which is the word, the truth is the truth, the word is the word, has been revised or revised. Why would truth need to be revised or revised? I'm just speaking two languages there, okay? So if the word is the word, then it's the word. And we already know the Alpha and Omega, the omniscience, all-knowing, seeing, to know. We know the word is the word, but yet it's been revised so many times. So let me give you some context here. In Ephesians 6:12, in the King James Version of the Bible, and this is used for the basis of modern translation. This is what it stipulates to. It says, and I know that some people can repeat this with me. I got a little gnat right here, and he's going to lose his life. If he land on his book, I'm going to take him out. All right, so for we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, I think a lot of us was taught that in church. You, me, a lot of us, whatever. But I found something that was in contrast to that. It was what I call the uncensored, which is a lot of stuff that we talk about, which is a great plug for our Patreon, which we do a lot of uncensored stuff. So you might want to go take a look right there, the Luminous Order, the Patreon. Every Thursday we go live, and you can find it Truth versus Authority Patreon /Truth versus Authority. It's uncensored, but I'm going to take a little uncensored part right here and tell you. So let me read that again. Ephesians 6:12 in the King James Bible, the version of the Bible says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Think about that. So where do we think about that in our mind? Where is these high places? Well, let me tell you what I found that's in direct, sharp contrast to this message, which is an uncensored translation from the Greek, which is, according to biblical scholars, indicate the following. This is what they said, the same scripture that was rewritten. It says, for our struggle It's not against human beings, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of darkness, and against the spiritual dark forces of wickedness. Okay, how about that? You got me. Y'all got my grammar box. But listen, wickedness, that word in outer space. Okay. So we got wickedness. There we go. I got it. In outer space. They was telling us that something was coming from outer space. Who decided that they're going to change it? And then all of a sudden, all this UFO disclosure stuff happens that we no longer get to know that there's any aliens up there. It's like, and you know, I'm a certified UFO investigator. If you all didn't know by now, you know, in fact, you can find me on Gaia. I'm on Gaia brand ambassador. You can find me on George Norrie's show, Beyond Belief. I'm in the Discovery Channel. I hosted a TV show called Alien Endgames. I'm in Forbidden Knowledge, the Black Knight Satellite. I'm on Fox Tubi. I'm in a Roswell movie. I was featured on Ancient Aliens. I just got hired for a Netflix thing that I'm flying out next week for, you know. And by the way, my book on Forbidden Knowledge is Billy is going to launch it in about a week, and so it's on pre-order. But he said it'll be ready, and it's called The Unspeakable Truth, and it's how fake history and Christianity and self-oppression robs the African Americans of their voice in modern UFO stuff. And so it's on Forbidden Knowledge website, and I'm excited. And like you know, Billy is the publisher. Forbidden Knowledge is the publisher of my book, and it's already on his website for pre-orders and all that. But it's actually getting ready to get released within the next 2 weeks. And so, and he wrote the foreword of the book as well. So hopefully you all would go and get your copy so that we can make it a bestseller as well, because it's going to go really deep in a lot of areas. So I just want y'all to know I'm very excited about that as well. So, and then I have another bigger project. All right. So with that being said, yeah, I wanted to toot my horn. I just wanted to say you are right, man. You do what you do. But I appreciate you all and the good stuff in there, Damon and the rest of you. Okay, so listen. The revelation that the Archons was kin changed everything. The fight was no longer about scanning the skies for the enemy fleet. It was about looking in the mirror and confronting the reflection, okay? Now, the Gnostics wasn't just describing a cosmological battle. They were mapping the landscape of the human soul. The ultimate battlefield is always been the psychic. This is, again, why we have truth versus authority, the name of my YouTube channel, because authority, we talk about the truth. It's the mind. Everybody's after our minds, right? Always. Now, and in this, as I continue, we discover that the ancient Gnostics and the modern depth of psychologists were speaking the same language. They really were. In fact, the Gnostics call the path to liberation, the Gnosis direct is what they call it, was the experimental knowledge of divine within. Now, Carl Jung, if you know who that is, go look it up. He wrote the book of the archetypes and all that. I have all his stuff. It's called the modern equivalent to individuation. I said that earlier. Now, the sacred and the difficult process of becoming a conscious integrated within itself. Now, before I continue that, I want to show you some pictures, and hopefully they're clear enough. And somebody's asking about time travel. That'll be another show. We do want to get into time travel, but I can't. I'm staying on my outline where we are. But time travel is a good subject, so we can do that. Let me see if I have a picture. Okay, so this is kind of give you an indication of the reptilian. This is an old painting, so to speak, that was done, kind of showing them. Now, what was really interesting in the old paintings was this one itself. This one way back in the freaking 1400s. You can barely see it, but it was Jesus in the manger. However, if you can see, there was a UFO. This was in the 1400s when this painting was made. Here's another one that was in 1486. Right there is a UFO shining a light on Virgin Mary's head right there. And this was painted in freaking 1446, people. 1446. That's like 600 years ago. And why would somebody paint something way back then and put a UFO with a light in there? Okay. And like I said, that scripture says, and this is the direct uncensored, says, for our struggle is not against human beings, but against the rules, against the powers, against the world forces of darkness, against spiritual darkness, or wickedness in outer space. And then they changed it and said high places because they didn't want us to know that something was coming from outer space. Now, if you've been around long enough, and if you don't believe this one, I got my little Bear Wright voice for you. And you remember the song called Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, come to take me home. Swing low, sweet chariot. Now, I have a book on my shelf, and it was the #1 selling book back in the early 1900s called The Chariots of the Gods, and it was talking about aliens. Now, though that song was sung by our ancestors way before there was planes, way back on the cornfields or in the slavery fields, and they said, swing low, sweet chariot, because it wasn't called UFOs back then because they just thought it was a chariot because they knew what chariots were. Come and take me home. I looked over to Jordan. What did I see? Remember, because they always coming over water. The angels coming for me. So did they know? Did they know way back then that those was aliens up there? Because it wasn't no airplanes when they were singing. They wasn't even no airplanes back then, right? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe I'm just way off on the left side. However, if you think we on a path somewhere, just let me know. Because Carl Jung, back to him, he taught that this journey requires a confrontation with the shadow, the dark, the represented part of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. And in this archon secret, they are personification of our collective shadow. Mind virus of the archons find, like they said, a purchase only where our only unconscious of ourselves. It's like that's where they find us. It thrives in our unexamined beliefs, in our inherited dogmas, our deepest fears. And you got to learn the shadow stuff because, there's 54 archetypes, right? And then there's shadows. And like I said, I have a guidebook that's coming out with these little cards that's going to show you all of that stuff. I've been working on it, and we're going to do that. All right. So let's go. This is a metaphysical engine of religious deception. We have been taught to outsource our divinity, to kneel before an external savior, to obey an external lawgiver, to confess to an external authority. This is the archonic masterstroke, people. And if you don't think I'm making that part up, we all have played in the same storyline. Every one of us, maybe 90% of us at some point have told our children, your kids, your little me's, the person who looks just like you because you made them, and I hope your kids look like you. I'll start some trouble. Shucks. All right. They're still your kids, okay? Regardless. I have stepchildren, I did. But here's the point I'm saying. You told your kids that Santa Claus is watching them, this mysterious whatever that can't see. And then he's going to know if they're going to be naughty or nice. And it was the control factor for Christmas. And if you're not naughty and nice, you're not going to get those gifts. And when you got mad, you didn't want to whoop them. You said, hey, Santa's watching. Christmas is next month. And they have to sit there and wonder who is watching them. And the kids at that time was like, there is no Santa Claus. They was already smarter, right? And we the one put that on them. So it's the same godlike thing that they said, okay, you get where I'm going with the story. You get where I'm going with the story. All right. So the Easter Bunny, all the stories, right? All the stories of this fictitious thing, the stork who brought the baby down the chimney. We passed those stories on to our children. Your little brother's gonna come to, and we might have just one kid. One of you was looking up the chimney saying, when my baby brother coming? and nobody stopped you. Nobody pulled you out of that chimney and said, son, it's not real. Stop it. Anyway, this is about archonic masterstroke is what I'm saying. And by convincing us that the kingdom of heaven is somewhere out there, they sever the connection with the divine spark that resides within. And every time we follow the creed without question, and every time we surrender our moral authority to an institution, and every time we choose blind faith over inner knowing, we're feeding the archons in our own sight, right? It's up there. We are reinforcing the bars of our own cage. You get what I'm saying? However, we're talking about archetypes here. This is the true hero's journey for our time. This is where you are, the call to adventure, the call to look within. This is truth seekers. This is where we are. The threshold, the guardian is not a monster at the gate, but our own terror of self-knowledge. This is why you come to forbid knowledge, to get knowledge. You come to truth versus authority to get knowledge. In fact, if you're living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, this Saturday, we having our conspiracy conscious meetup again, September the 20th, this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We got stillness meditation. We got, I'm going to be speaking. We got a couple of speakers. We're going to have some food, from 4:30 to 6:30. You can buy a little plate. We got Cajun. And there, I want you to screenshot that because you can text 888-440-9771 and put meetup, and you're going to know. You want to stay in contact with it. Let me put it back on the screen. You want to stay in contact with us. My guy, brother Joseph, he's going to come up in Houston, not this time, but he's going to surprise us. Billy's going to surprise us. I got a lot of people that's going to surprise and come down. It's just going to be a small gathering. But hey, if you plugged in, you plugged in. Okay. And right there, 888-440-9771. We're going to be there this Saturday. It's absolutely free. It's free. It don't cost anything to come. Okay. Free. And we're in our third month. We're doing it every month. In fact, we're going to start one in Houston on the second Saturday. We do the third Saturday. We're going to blow this thing out the water. Conspiracy Conscious Meetup. We got sponsors. Here's our sponsors: Noble Metal Wellness. We have Phoenix Phire, and we have Bernice in Fresh Mouth. Noble Wellness. They got products right there. Monatomic Gold and that stuff. And these people got this nano silver toothpaste, and Phoenix Phire got a lot of products, and these are our sponsors, all of our sponsors for this event. And man, we're being really blessed in everything. And the websites for each and every one of them is in the chat. Phoenix Phire, you got to go support the sister. The sister has a lot of stuff. Okay. Noble Botanic, the gold. I'm sorry. Look, and they're gonna be like, hey, you're sponsored. But anyway, yes, Noble Metals, which is a company that Justin owns. Justin is part owner of Billy's son. So they're one of our sponsors. So you guys go and there's a link in the description, and we get supported by that as well. And then, like I say, I use some of their toothpaste right here. This is nano silver toothpaste, and this has elderberry in it. They got mint, and we're talking none of that other stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So go there. But when you come to our meeting on September the 20th, I'm gonna have some samples for our audience, for the people who come. So again, our meet and greet on September 20th. Make sure you come. There is a text number in the description of the video. Man, we got a great year, man. We're gonna be doing some great stuff. Back to the story. The threshold, the guardian. Like I said, it's not the monster at the gate, but it's our own terror of self-knowledge. The dragon we must all slay in the archonic programming is our own minds. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. And we're talking about the foreign installation of fear and self-doubt, and the treasure that we bring back to the world is not gold, but it's awakened, but it's awakened conscious. You know how you say we're awake or sovereign, being sovereign. Now, the ultimate secret of this Gnostics was this: the archons are the master of simulation. David Icke had been trying to tell us for quite some time. It's a holographic world. All of this stuff. We already seeing it in this new stuff that they're putting out everywhere, in the phones and everywhere else. We know this. The Archons, again, are the master of simulations, but they have no creative fire of their own. Their power is a bluff, a hall of mirrors reflecting our own unintegrated darkness back to us. This is why the shadow work is so important. You don't get rid of your shadow. People be saying, don't do your shadow work. No, you got to integrate the shadow. And we're going to be teaching a lot of that, especially at our meetups, and some of the content that I'm having in our, our Patreon uncensored, because we can't teach you that stuff on the outside. If they knew that, it's done. Because that's one thing they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know all of this stuff. But if you do, yeah, go join Forbidden Knowledge Academy. You'll get some knowledge, and then you come in our Patreon and you're going to get some uncensored stuff. But they can only rule a sleeping humanity, the concept of being asleep. So therefore, the ultimate act of rebellion, and if the only true exorcism is not to fight them with their own weapons of anger and division, but it's to simply see them. This is why I wear the aisle. And the whole symbolism is to see the unseen. This is why our shirts, our luminous, my whole brand is the owl, because it's time for you to see in the dark. And yeah, some people are afraid. Oh yeah, man, please, you can use the power of the symbols. I'm using the power of the symbols. I'm able to talk to you and see things. You too are able to do it too. We just gotta take the mask off our minds. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. I don't care what you see. If your mind is blind, it ain't gonna get it. It's gonna get what they want you to see, the simulation, the holographic part. But you're not gonna see the truth because you can't fathom. Because really, if you really think about it, a person knows what they think. Or should I say they only think what they know? But you get what I'm saying. And if they don't know no better, they ain't thinking no better. You better believe that. All right. So anyway, know thyself, people. Know thyself, because in pure light of the gnosis, or what we want to call it, the shadows do not need to be fought. They simply dissolve. Okay. So this knowledge is not easy. I just want you to know that. It is a heavy truth, one that shakes the foundation of the world that we were handed, because it's really hard. Cognitive dissonance is very real in some people. And if you really understand that, if you with somebody who all their life thought something was true, and they come to this channel and then they find out it is not true and they cannot comprehend, that is a very difficult person, and vice versa. If they find something that was not true all their life and then they find out it was true, or something was true and it was not true, vice versa. It's just that cognitive dissonance will not allow them to function. But we're not the first to walk this path. You know that, right? We are the inheritors of the Gnosis, and that has survived the millennia in whispers in the shadows, waiting for a time when we were ready to listen to it. So the Archons, they thrive on isolation. That's why they stay hidden. They feed on the illusion that we are separate and we're powerless individuals lost in a meaningless cosmos. But our awakeness, or us being awakened, I could say, is a collective fire. This is why we're doing our conscious meetups and conspiracy, because they go together. You got to join us in Dallas. The link and the stuff is down there, and get on our text list. And if you know somebody in Dallas, tell them to come out. It's free. And then they get some stillness, because you got to still the mind. And we do that with bowls, singing bowls and instruments. It's just a beautiful thing. Everybody's just quiet and ding dong, right? It's like beautiful when we're sitting there. I wish I had a clip for you. Oh, I do. Listen, look. Beautiful, right? And those kids, one of them's name is Thoth, and the other one's name is, I think, Anubis, and what those kids' name is off the charts. But anyway, they're already, and they got up, and those children was like, wow. And man, we had a lot of other people behind. You can see I was just doing the front, but we do that from 10 to 11. Just come, show up. and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. Now, understand that every mind that chooses consciousness over conditioning, every soul that reclaims the sovereignty weakens the entire parasitic network. And we are the antibodies to the mind virus, okay? We're living the memory of the divine experiment that Sophia intended, okay? That's what the deal is. So now the journey becomes yours, all right? The reptilian archon is not a monster that you will meet in the street. You will meet in your own mind. And tonight, when you turn off the screen tonight, okay? It is the voice of dogma that commands you, do not question, okay? You're gonna, all right. It is the voice of fear that whispers, you're not enough. Stay small, stay safe. And it's the seductive voice of apathy that insists, this is too much. Look away. It doesn't matter. This dude is crazy. Right. Don't fight that voice. Your power is not resisting it, but your power is observing it. This is why the owl sees. This is why you will subscribe, if you should, to my new channel, The Owl Sees, because I'm going to break down a perspective of everything. Just every week, you're going to be like, whoa, I didn't see it that way. I guarantee you. But you're going to see the truth in it. You're going to see for what it is, what they're doing, a program, a foreign installation, an echo of cold and soulless intelligence. And then you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to look past the fear, past the persona, which we know, past all the stories that you were told. Deep within you is the spark. All right. The child of light, right? You're a light being, it's in you. The Gnostics back then, they spoke of your inalienability, your sovereign consciousness, and that this is one thing that the archons cannot simulate, the one fire they cannot consume, and the only light they can truly fear. So the keepers of your old world demanded that you have faith in a God. And those Gnostics dared you to do something far more radical. And that was to have faith in the God within you. I know, I just said it. I know, I just said it. I just said it. The God within you. All right? So right there is the conclusion of my monologue, my outline of thoughts. Now we're going to get into some dialogue, some questioning, some thought-provoking things that I've written down that I think will, twist us a little bit, get us to think about something. So, having said that, when I unmasked the true purpose behind the grand religious deception, I exposed the end game with absolute certainty and to compel us to project our own inner darkness onto an eternal scapegoat. We're talking about the devil. And we kneel before a God figure who is the perfect embodiment of those very archonic shadows. And you can imagine you walking down the street. This is another storytelling. And you see the devil sitting over there on a thing, and he's over there crying. That would be a good sight, right? And you go, well, what's wrong with you? And he over there just crying, talking about everybody's always blaming everything on me. The devil made you do it, right? The devil is a lie, okay? You get what I'm saying. So I'm not saying it don't exist, but it's everything, right? You get what I'm saying. So the real battleground is, I see with a perfect clarity that it's not manufactured war of good and evil, but it's an internal struggle between the courage face of our own unknowledged shadow and an archonic temptation to remain in a state of perpetual child psychic conflict. That's the part. You get what I'm saying? That's the part. That's what happens. And when I witness the soul trap that they're talking about, the only emotion is I feel a profound disgust at the sheer parasitic elegance of the design, convincing us to hate our own reflection while we worship an architect or architecture of our own cage. It's like crazy. This is why you have your spiritual awakening, not religious one. You got to have your spiritual awakening, because let's be clear about it. What this truly means is that the psychic schisms is not a flaw of our spirituality that we have, right? It's the very engine of our enslavement, our engineered deny of the wholeness and sovereignty that Jung called individuation. You got to remember that, right? And so it's worth us talking about, because the entire war consciousness pivoted from the moment we decoded the Gnostic transmission a long time ago. They're not entirely alien, but they're our kin. In that instance, the enemy ceased to be an external predator and was revealed for what it was, a failed reflection of ourselves. And so when you think about it, this is a direct assault on sovereignty. But the revelation of kingship exposes the true nature if you start looking into it, because it's not an invasion from without, but an insurgency from within, thriving on the territories of the psyche. And we have willingly abandoned it over time, right? And so let me kind of get to the point of that, because here's what's really happening. We're not fighting a war against a monster. We're being focused to witness a cosmic family tragedy, right? We're confronting a shadow brother, a stunted intelligence twisted by all-consuming envy of the soul that it cannot simulate. That's why everybody wants a soul. Everything out there, every elite, whatever, they want the soul. They want your soul. They want mine. They want yours. It's the prize. It's the prize. And what this experience taught me is that the dark intelligence is not merely pestilence, as the Gnostics knew. It's the cosmic friction against which our own consciousness must be forged, and the darkness that forces us to define our own light. We are light beings. And the key insight gives us the high ground. The Gnosis that turned the tide is determined realization that the ultimate battlefield was never in the heavens or in ancient history, so to speak. It is and always been in the human psyche. This is why we go through our stillness on Saturdays, and we go through the training. I'm telling you, you got to still the mind. You have to learn to still the mind. You have to. You get what I'm saying? So, so the final conflict is that the only one that matters is the archonic programming that's demanding a blind faith in an external master versus the our experimental knowledge of divine authority within. We have to keep knowing what's within ourselves. You get what I'm saying? And my reaction to the truth is not fear, and you shouldn't have no fear at all, but a profound and liberating clarity is what you're getting tonight, okay? The enemy power is a bluff. It's a bluff. And a hall of mirrors reflecting our own shadows right back at us, okay? It holds dominion only where we remain unconscious of ourselves. I want you to make sure you come to our Patreon, you come to my channel, because we're bringing in the symbolism and the archetypes and all the shadows. So you're going to recognize you can recognize the person's shadow with you, because I'm going to have the holster. You're going to be like, damn. But you're going to also see the elites. You're going to see the conspiracies. You're going to see the headlines. You're going to see the shadow in everything. You got to see. The owl sees, okay? Just know that. The undeniable truth that crystallizes from the ultimate act of rebellion is not to fight them. You can't win that one, okay? It's simply you have to see them. You got to see. And to become consciousness is the only exorcism that you're going to have. Because in the pure light that we're talking about, the shadows don't need to be fought. They simply dissolve. And people are always talking about, well, the kind of reptilian is fine. You're not if you stay in the light, you keep your vibration high, they can't see you. But if you're around all these people that's keeping you down, vibration, and you in the darkness and the shadow and walking around in your shadow self and all, they see you. Oh, they love it. They're feeding off you too. Parasites. They get it. They get it. So if you start thinking about it in a reality form, is what we're talking about. This isn't a flaw in the system. It's a direct assault on our sovereignty. And I keep using that tonight because I see their cold-blooded reptilian architecture in very institutions designed to manage our lives, tuning humanity, society into the planetary scale of terrorism, or like a fish tank or something where our every move can be monitored. Man, they got cameras everywhere now. They're watching everything we do. Your phone watches everything. They're watching everything we do. And now they want to know how we think and think for you. This is crazy. And they're doing it. They're doing it. Okay. And you too. Yeah. And the single action that exposes this inhuman logic is the relentless push to global centralization. And they're doing that right now. A world where they demand us that we're going to surrender our organic local autonomy for a synthetic global safety that is in reality a gilded cage. Remember this term, problem, reaction, solution. Start paying attention. I want you to write that down. Problem, reaction, solution. Whenever there's a problem, and you just saw a big one last week, it's a problem. They're going to get our reaction, and then those same people who created the problem, who made the reaction happen, is going to come back with the solution. And we're going to think it's in our best interest. Problem, reaction, solution is the key of, you got to see these things. So when you see these massive things happen, don't go look at what happened. Okay? And I'm talking about, what just happened a week ago in Utah. Don't go look at what happened. The answer is in the why. There's nothing more devastating to learn or go deeper is the why. Because the why is always where the true thing is hidden. Not what happened. Everybody know what happened. We saw it. Even police do that. They know what happened. They know somebody, unalived somebody 18 times with a knife or whatever, but they spend the next 2 weeks trying to figure out why. Because that's where everything unfolds, the whole story. So I want you to know that. Problem, reaction, solution. We just had a big problem. Everybody's reacting. Watch in the weeks to come the solution that they come up with, and people are going to buy into it because of the problem. And they created the problem, and they made us react. It made a lot of people react. Watch them. The owl knows. Watch them. That's all I'm telling you. All right. So the core battleground isn't political. It's the tension between the organic chaos and human freedom and the cold reptilian obsession with absolute predictable order. I want you to know that. Okay. And so let me be clear about what this truly means. They are building this prison of rules not to protect us, but because a creature is trapped in a predictable system and it's manageable. It's a manageable asset, to be, by the way, and an energy source is far easier to harvest. They told us that in the Matrix. They can harvest. Just keep it where it needs to be. And so the entire war for your mind pivot the moment that media systems stop reporting on reality and begin to manufacture it, injecting holographic emotional dramas directly into the collective conscious to form our fear. You can't not see stuff that pops up on your social media page without, you didn't even ask for it. And it's like, do, like, where is this coming from? And the problem is you just stop and scroll, it knows. You stop the scroll. So now I just be flipping and I'll see something I like, I'll flip back and I like it, I'll flip back and I like it. I don't say I like it, but I'll just keep flipping, never stopping, but I'm flipping long enough to read it because I don't want them to think I want to keep seeing that all the time. You got to try to, this is crazy. Because if you stop, you're going to get it. They're going to give it to you. Stop the scroll, they're going to give it to you. this is why that new channel is going to change everybody's perspective. The ALCs, they're just 3 minutes. None of those videos over 2 or 3 minutes, and it's going to enlighten you, man. I'm telling you, it's the Mona Lisa. It's when it hits off, there's going to be a lot, millions of people are going to get a different perspective in this world from those, and it's one of my missions, a purpose, period. And I believe in it a lot. Someone said, I got them about to cry over here. Hey, it's worth shedding a tear, Stan. What's going on, Kay? It is worth shedding a tear, because when I witnessed this 24-hour cycle of manufactured division that they put on us, Stan, the only emotion I feel is cold, righteous anger and sheer this parasitic audacity that they're doing on our intelligence. And they see the human empathy as a resource to plunder. They see it. And when you think about the Gnostics at the time, they give us the high ground is knowing this reptilian mind cannot create. It can only simulate and invert. That's very important. That's very important, because once you recognize the signature of deception, which is the whole card stuff I'm making, and it's called, John G said, I already cried. Cool. When you recognize the signature of deception, the entire media apparatus becomes predictable. You got to start seeing it. I'm taking you on that journey. I'm telling you, yeah, I want to promote that new channel, but I believe in it. I totally believe in it. I'm going to give you a story. This is not a pen. It may look like one, but this is probably one of the most feared weapons in the world. It can change your life. It could, turn around and write stories. You can write a note about someone to yourself. You can put yourself down with this thing, right? It started wars. It put people in prison. This is not a pen. It's just not. But I will tell you what it is when I release the video in about a week. Okay? So that you know what you hold. This is just not a phone. I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay? That's the new way that we're going to see this world. And I'm telling you. And so, if you haven't seen it, we still got about another 30 minutes of things to go. But I know people come and go, but I have to let you know about the new channel. Okay? And stick with me. Don't go anywhere. You may not believe it, but this is not a pond. A simple body of water, maybe a home for ducks. It's an eye. See, it's an eye that is staring. Look at this. You may not believe it, but this is not a tree. It looks like one. The wood, the bark, we're talking about the leaves. It's a silent giant. It's a monument built on light and time. You may not believe it, but this is not a yellow flower. It looks like one, a simple splash of color, a common weed, but it's a declaration of war against the gray. Society sees a simple, cheerful thing, pretty, but ultimately trivial. But its true nature is rebellion. You may not believe it, but this is not a park bench. It looks like one, metal, iron, a simple place to rest. It's a theater box, and the performance is life itself. I enjoy making, this is not a... Anyway, so I enjoy making those videos because everything out there has a symbolic meaning, okay? This is not a hat, but if I told you what it was, then you're going to see life totally different, because they got us looking at the wrong stuff, people, and they're messing it up. So hopefully there is there's a link for you to go subscribe to that channel, the ILCs. This is not a thing. And I got, like I say, I've been spending a month, man. This is my Mona Lisa. This is my giving back to humanity. This is why I'm going to be and is the symbolizer for you, right? But anyway, so let's finish. I almost got teary-eyed on my own project because that's how much emotion is in this. All right. And I just want you to know, because this problem, reaction, solution crap that they're doing, it's getting out of hand. And you got to see it. Not hear it, you got to see it. Because once you see it, you can deal with it. Don't hide from it. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to, no, see it. See it, integrate it so that you know what to deal with. Because one of the things is, what this experience taught me is that you can never, ever outsource your perception to a screen. This is what they're trying to get us to do. Because the moment that you value the simulation over your own senses, you have willingly offered your psychic to the parasites. This is why these AI created videos and all of this stuff, they can just make stuff up. They can make stuff up. They can make stuff up. And when I unmasked the true purpose behind what I call a financial architecture, I exposed their brilliant deception. It's never been about prosperity. It's about using the abstract machinery of debt to convert human time and energy into a quantifiable and harvestable food source. That's what they created. They did. And here's one of the actions that is going to, reveal the entire system. See, they engineered a system where money is created as debt, ensuring every human being is born into a state of energetic obligation to a faceless, predatory creditor. Do you know this? Go look the difference between a birth certificate and a certificate of birth. Go look and see when our parents, mine, and I did it to my kids, we signed them over to the corporation of this country. Brilliant. But when we start talking about word magic that we just did last week, and we broke down some of that stuff in my private area in the Patreon, stuff that we can't talk about out here, that you can see it, this whole thing, the court systems, and the court is their game. The black roll, of course, represents Saturn, the black system, the court in the middle. That's why they have a court, one side, the defendant and the plaintiff, but then they fooled us like the Romans did and said, let's make it into a game. And then we're going to put a basketball court, same judge in the middle, same teams passing the ball back and forth, same as the court systems, tennis courts. They play wordplay on us all the time. And we can't see it because we focus on the games. I'm telling you, these people ain't playing. But the owl sees. Enough of that. I am now giving us a new rebellion, truth versus authority. Like I said, I have my own personal channel, so I'm over there the other days of the week. I'm over here on Tuesday. So if you just come and watch me on Tuesday, that's good. If not, screenshot this right now. I have my own personal channel. And you can go and subscribe to that too, as well as my new This Is Not a Thing channel. But this is my channel, so we do shows over there throughout the week, okay? So, once again, the entire game changed the moment that they severed value from anything tangible, turning our economy into one another of these simulations. Now we got digital halls of mirrors where this code intelligence owns the source code. We're buying into a source code right now. Y'all already know this. I ain't going to even say the names. If you knew who was really behind this stuff, But my reaction is not anger at all. It's a profound realization of disgust when we think about it, because this undeniable truth is that they see your labor, your creativity, your ambition, not as an expression of divine soul, but as a caloric input to their vampiric survival. And they exist, people. These deities, these things, these parasites, they exist. They are here. And they're and some people are living with their archons, that's humans that are attached to them, and then they're sucking on you. They are here. I'm just telling you. So when I strip away the scripture and the ceremony, now you get ready to get deep here, I expose their true purpose, because the ultimate archonic masterstroke was not to conquer us, but to convince us to conquer ourselves by outsourcing our divinity into their tyrannical fathom in the sky. Obedience is the real word, not control. I misunderstood. Years ago, I would say they're trying to control us. No, they want obedience. They can't control you, but if they can make you obedient, then they can control you. Free will don't allow you to be controlled, but you will submit your own mind to be obedient. Okay, all right. Maybe that didn't work. No, maybe somebody, or whatever. All right, so we got somebody say they subscribe. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Just one. If it's just one tonight, oh my God, thank you. All right, you're the first out of hundreds. All right. So listen, make no mistake about it. This final war for our sovereignty. They are not fighting for land and resources. They're attempting to seize control of the one territory that should be in violation for them, the kingdom of the divine that resides in you. See, we're so focused on the land, and them fuckers, they're playing with our minds. Oh, yeah. You go buy all that land. Get your children's minds together. Get the next generation and listen to those kids when they tell you why, and they keep asking you why. And don't fall them into the trap of obedience that they did for us. And then you look at them and say, because I said so. And they go, why? They're asking the most innocent question because they're up here right now until we put the experience on them and say, be obedient. Do what you're told because I said so, because I'm an adult and I'm the authority. And then they take that to school. They take it everywhere else and they can't question nothing. And they become obedient. When they came here questioning, came here with questions because you didn't fall for the stuff, the okie doke, because you was like, that don't look right. You ever try to push your kids over to a family member that you knew and you want to know how the kid knew that dude was, or the aunt was whatever? Kid be like, nah. And they didn't even know the person, but they be like, nah, I don't feel it. And then we be like, nah, go give your uncle a hug. No, he's a pervert. Anyway. I'm just preaching. All right, Kay says she subscribed. Thank you. All right, so I know. This is infotainment, y'all. This is what I call it, infotainment, okay? Hopefully you're enjoying the information entertainingly, okay? So anyway, the entire cosmic game was that the moment that the Gnostic revealed the terrible secret, that the reptilian predator is not entirely an alien, okay? It's their own words that we were forced to confront. They are kin. Really? Please. And the battleground, therefore, is not a simple war between good and evil, but is an agonizing struggle between humanity and its own reflection and a cosmic friction that's against what we force to our own conscious and define our own light. Okay? So the other part of this, the key insight that gives you the high ground, is knowing that their core driver is envy. See, they are soulless mimics who can only simulate the creative fire that we possesses. And their entire matrix of control is the grand bluff awaiting to be called by a mind that knows itself. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You know yourself. Come to our meetups. If you're in Dallas, you got cousins, friends, or whatever, you need to send them over there. There is an 800 number. They can get on our text meetup to the number. We're not playing anymore. Yeah, I'm going to keep talking about it because it's important that we should be growing. My god brother Joseph said, hey, we're going to do second Saturdays down in Houston. Y'all know who that is, right? And then we're going to convert back and forth. We can blow some stuff up because it's time, man, because these people are not playing. They're not playing. See, the undeniable truth that crystallized it from the start is the ultimate battlefield that never in the heavens of the abyss. It's always been the landscape of the human psychic. And the one action. In fact, y'all remember Jordan Maxwell said it best. And I think I have his clip. He said it best right here. I'm going to play it.
harmony. I think we're being set up for something very serious and very big by some very powerful secret societies that very well could have extraterrestrial or otherworld intelligence guiding it. All over the world, we have accepted the authority as truth rather than truth as the authority.
Right there. Now, what's the name of my show? Truth versus Authority, baby. We're the rebellion. We're a rebellion. Like he said, we accepted authority as truth. We tell our kids, because I said so, and we might even know it's the truth. I'm not saying you let them just go run off a cliff, but you get what I'm saying. We teach them to fall in line instead of to explore. And the ultimate lesson here is that the Archons win every time when we choose blind faith over inner knowing. That's what they want us to do. The Gnostic rebellion, the truth versus authority rebellion, is one that has ever truly mattered, right? Yeah. It has a profound courage to find, trust the God within you. There's a God in you. Every last one of you. Absolutely. Find it. Get to know it. Understand it. Is all I'm saying. Get to know it. Get to know it. That's all I'm saying. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of my monologue and dialogue for tonight. Hopefully that you enjoyed it. We love to make sure things go the way we go. Monica says she's a subscriber. Jordan is a legend. Absolutely. Maxwell Profound is proud of you, Rod. Thank you, because I contacted his family and they gave me all of his research. Got 5,000 files from Jordan Maxwell's research. I'm still trying to go through it and learn it. But then I found some scary stuff there that some stuff you just better not say. Remember, I tell people we have it in this drive, 20,000 documents, 20,000 books, 5,000 ebooks. Videos, and all of Jordan stuff is in here. And, a few of you got a copy of this so that we can be researchers. There's no way a lifetime I can go through this particular thing. My email is contact@whythebigsecret.com. If you can afford to buy this waterproof safety drive and a small whatever, you can get access. If the world started over, you will have everything from religion. The stuff that I'm talking about came from here. But anyway, contact@whythebigsecret.com. You can email me and say, hey, man, I want to get some information. I'll call you directly. But anyway, real quickly, just here, I have 3 ebooks on my website if you can support. It's called High Strangeness, You May Not Believe It, which is some deep, deep truth. They're all downloadable. I just put them in this Amazon thing. You will not, the 42 ideas of my yacht, just everything. This is like Genesis translated, the Vatican. This is stuff you won't hear, but this hidden truths. It's on my website, truthversusauthority.com. I think I have it somewhere to put it on. There we go, right there. So it's Truth versus Authority. If you drink water like I do, then you want the water codes. Water is programmable. You can print this up, just sit your cup on it. It's pure energy code. The tree of life is all encoded. And it'll explain to you how water is encoded. They did a scientific thing where they spoke to water, and you can have bad crystallization when they froze the water. A lot of people don't know. That's why I tell you, don't buy that water that's called liquid death and you putting it on the can. Go look at those cans and see all the words that they're putting on it, because it can program the water. Yeah. Anyway, pure money, cold water, pure love, you code the water. That's, you can download it on my website, Truth versus Authority. And then last but not least is the Book of Sacred Secrets. This is really deep. The Christ oil is just going to keep going deep. All this is downloadable if you support, what we do, because this is a community supported show. We do this full time, research and all that stuff, and we get supported from you all, right? But anyway, all of this is on my website, truthversusauthority.com, and you can download it immediately. And again, if you decide to be part. So with that being said, I'll give a quick shout out to those of you and remember, my book is out too, so you definitely want to get that, and you will see that as well. But anyway, let me give a shout out to all of you. Real alien encounters. Heat in the body is water, bro. Yeah, the Earth, the world is 90%. What world? The Earth is 73% water. We were 73% water. All of it's water. Sovereign primordial. Okay, cool. All right. They didn't create. All right. I'm just going to the chats here before we get out of here. That's great. You deserve it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Monica. Yeah, Meetup. Yeah, Meetup. Make sure again, Dallas. If you in Dallas, know somebody in Dallas. This Saturday, we're going to be there from 10 to 6. And then we got some food. They can, donate it for a plate there. Cajun, pasta, chicken and shrimp, salad, vegan, dirty rice for the vegans. And if you're going to come, there's get on an 800 number, and then I'm gonna text out again tomorrow. So you'll see the address to the location and everything, or you can screenshot right now here and copy. So if you got on your phone, screenshot this, and then you'll see the address up there, September the 20th. Cinnamon is going to be speaking. Empress is going to be speaking for about 30 minutes, both of them. And then I'm going to be speaking for a few hours. And we're going to have a group session where people are going to sit around and tell their experiences, whether it's near death, whether it's UFOs, whether it's consciousness. We just have a group talk. It's beautiful. And we're growing every month. We're just growing. And people are loving it. And they're walking out of there, with it and everything else. And that is brought to by our sponsors. And there's a link in the description for them. Thank God for these people. They allow us to get the place and all that. And we have, of course, TK, if she's in the house, who set it all up. So we always have to give her props for the connectivity and everything else. And so that's where we are. All right. So I love you. I really do. I love each and every one of you. And to my haters, I get a lot of haters come here all the time. And I'm starting to realize that they're coming over and over. They're really not haters. They're just a fan, and they're critical. So you're a fan and you're critical. And it's okay. We learn from this. But I do love each and every one. I love what I do. I love each and every one of you. And you all deserve the best information possible, right? But you do want to research stuff yourself, and you want to get more deeper into things yourself, okay? This world is not what it is. I'm sad. I'm sorry to tell people. It's magical. You can get out of it what you want, right? You can transform it and manifest it into what you want. You don't have to be in the place that it is if you're not happy with the current reality, so to speak. It's just that in linear time, we think we're just going to wake up out of this dream, but you can transform it slowly but surely, one step at a time. You just got to see. You got to see what's going on. You got to see what people around you is doing. You got to see everything. The owl sees. And that's what it is. So we'll be on my channel. I don't know if tomorrow, but I know Thursday we're being live in a Patreon speaking uncensored. So I didn't put a link in the description for it, but patreon.com/truth versus authority. And we can do that. But anyway, I love y'all. So we are out. Let me see if I have what I need to do to nope, I better not play that. I guess I could.
Welcome, Truth Seeker.
No, we don't want to do that one. Well, anyway, we're going to get out of here. And like I say, I love each and every one of you. And we just have to take ourselves to go have some fun and enjoy life and do what we're doing. All right. I'm out. Said it before, but I'm going to do it now. See ya.
UFOs,
UAPs,
unidentified anomalous phenomena,
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Who are they? Where are they from? And what is their intent?
all questions that immediately come to mind with the mention of UFOs. A Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Many of them are explained as being drones, birds, or weather events, but about half of them remain unexplained.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
My gosh.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
This video taken by the Navy showing what he describes as pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the San Diego coast in July of 2019. The Pentagon has since confirmed that the video is authentic.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago. The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil is the man who discovered the saucer.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
More people are coming forward with their own sightings.
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs.
Right at that moment, I saw what looked like 5 lights flying in formation in kind of an inverted check mark.
The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin. We don't know what these UAP are.
The mysterious flying objects are still a mystery. NASA will continue investigating them and has appointed a director of UAP research.
Technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had.
Oh, man, look at the fly!